Hi, welcome to Module 1 of Principles and Practices of Hazard Mitigation. Many of you have probably looked at hazards and disasters from a response standpoint in the past. In this module, and for the rest of this course, we'll begin to look at it from a prevention standpoint, just as if a fire department was trying to prevent a disaster. Natural hazards take many different forms, such as meteorological hazards. Hurricanes would be an example of a meteorological hazards, as well as tropical storms, typhoons, tornadoes. We've seen an outbreak of those, certainly here in the United States. They seem to be getting more frequent and more deadly over the last several years. Through the past winters, especially in the Northeast, and even into the South, such as Georgia this year, we've seen ice storms. Ice storms can be devastating to our infrastructure. They can paralyze our roads, especially when they hit areas such as Georgia where they're not used to this type of weather and do not have the infrastructure or the mitigation to do it. We also have geological, such as landslides, tsunamis, earthquakes. We don't have much experience with things like lava flow here in the United States, but certainly a factor in some of our international students may have exposure to this. We have hydrological hazards, which includes flooding, droughts, wildfire. We certainly have seen a significant increase in people exposed to floodwaters, areas where communities are coming under impact. And finally, extraterrestrial, and we don't mean ET, but certainly our planet has a history of being struck by meteors over thousands of years. Other types of hazards are man-made hazards, technological, and terrorism. Technological, we depend heavily on our electrical grid, and obviously we live in a world now with terrorism. Well, let's talk a little bit about a hazard versus a disaster. It's not a disaster until that particular hazard, as we listed before, actually affects people. So we don't really have a problem until the area we live becomes exposed to some type of reaction to the hazard. For example, if you don't live near the shore, you're less likely to be impacted by a hurricane when it comes ashore. Obviously, what we've seen in the last decade is a significant increase in the cost that these disasters are having, and perhaps much of that is the result of us living closer to areas where hurricanes and floodwaters are impacting. So what we're going to talk about in this course is mitigation. Mitigation is part of the emergency management cycle. It actually probably should be the first thing that we do. And when all else fails, then we have to go into a preparedness, a response, and a recovery mode. But our first choice would be to try to come up with a solution that allows us to mitigate a hazard before it actually has a negative impact on our community. Mitigation can take many different types of forms. We can try to mitigate by engineering out the problem. We can attempt to move away from the problem, move away from the shore. But the bottom line is that mitigation is an important concept as our population growth and development in the United States and disasters now occur more frequently than ever before. We all pay for these disasters, whether directly or indirectly, and it's in our best interest to prepare for them with responsible emergency management plans. Mitigation and preparedness strategies are critical to a resilient community.